Welcome back, everyone. We're kicking off a new deep dive today, and this one's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, buckle up.
We're diving into the world of Elon Musk.
Of course. Where else would we go?
Specifically, we're taking a close look at Ashlee Vance's biography of him.
Great book, by the way. Really gives you a sense of the man, the myth, the legend.
From his, well, kind of crazy childhood to becoming the head honcho of, like 3 groundbreaking companies?
At least. Guy never stops, does he?
And that's exactly what I find so fascinating. What pushes someone to risk everything. Push the limits, chase dreams most people would say are straight up sci-fi.
Right. It's a question we'll be tackling today, and trust me, Vance's book gives us a lot to work with.
So the book kicks off by throwing us right into the thick of it. Musk's life in 2012.
Yeah, and talk about a whirlwind.
If you try to picture this, you're running between SpaceX HQ in LA and Tesla's factory up in Silicon Valley, barely sleeping, crashing on friends' couches.
All while running multiple companies and being a dad to 5 kids.
Insane, right?
Most people would be burnt out in a week, but Musk, he thrives on it.
And then there's this scene right in the middle of all that chaos at his steampunk-themed birthday party.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
A professional knife thrower, blindfolded, aiming at Musk. Like, what?
You almost have to laugh, right? It's absurd.
It makes you wonder, is this guy just wired differently than the rest of us?
Well, that's one of the big questions the book explores. There's definitely a fearlessness about him.
For sure. So, to really get him, we got to go back to the beginning.
His childhood in South Africa.
Yeah, which, by his own account, wasn't exactly a walk in the park.
Not at all.
He actually uses the word misery to describe his relationship with his father.
Heavy stuff. Definitely suggests a pretty messed up upbringing.
Yeah. How much do you think those early years impacted the person he became?
It's hard to say for sure, but the book definitely paints a picture of a kid who had to develop some serious resilience just to survive.
And maybe even a need to prove himself. Like, look at what I can achieve despite all that.
Could be. There's almost a sense of channeling those challenges, turning them into this driving force for his ambitions.
But even back then, you see these flashes of the tech-obsessed innovator-to-be.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
10 years old, teaches himself computer programming in like 3 days.
Just like that.
And then tries to start a video arcade business with his brother.
Mhm.
Talk about entrepreneurial spirit.
He was hustling from day one.
And it's more than just wanting to make a buck. He dives headfirst into these complex topics,
Becomes almost obsessive about it.
devouring information, picking up skills at an insane pace. You can see the foundation forming, right? That ability to learn, to adapt quickly, which would be crucial later on.
Absolutely. He was always a sponge for knowledge.
It's like he was driven to escape, both physically and mentally. And that drive eventually leads him away from South Africa.
First to Canada, then the US, and finally where else but Silicon Valley.
It's almost like it was destiny. Silicon Valley, back in the early 90s, it was this mythical land of tech innovation.
Right. It was the place to be if you had big ideas.
So Musk lands at the University of Pennsylvania, bursting with ideas, and pretty much immediately launches his first startup, Zip2.
Zip2.
Imagine trying to explain that to someone back then. It's like the Yellow Pages, but on this thing called the Internet.
And most people were like, the what now?
Right. The Internet was still this weird new thing. But that's where Musk's insane work ethic and those persuasive skills come into play.
Oh, yeah. He was a master salesman.
He was working around the clock, sleeping in the office, convincing investors and potential customers that this whole Internet thing was the future.
And he was right, of course.
But even with all that dedication, things at Zip2 weren't exactly a fairy tale.
No startup ever is.
He ends up butting heads with investors, gets pushed out as CEO,
Tough break.
eventually sells the company, walks away with a decent profit. But you got to wonder if his ego took a hit.
I think it definitely shaped his future approach to leadership. He learned the hard way about corporate power dynamics.
Yeah, and from then on, he'd be determined to maintain control, to be the one calling the shots. But that experience also gave him something else, something pretty crucial.
Capital.
Cash money. He takes his earnings from Zip2 and goes all in on his next big thing, X.com.
Ah, X.com. The seed that would eventually become PayPal.
But back then, it was this crazy, ambitious idea to create like a one-stop shop for all things financial, all online.
Think about it. People were barely comfortable buying books on the internet.
Right, and he's trying to revolutionize banking.
Yeah, you gotta admire the guy's audacity.
Of course, it leads to another clash of personalities, this time with Peter Thiel, after X.com merges with Thiel's company, Confinity.
Those two are quite the pair.
And once again, Musk gets ousted as CEO.
Although he did stay on as an advisor and major shareholder, so it wasn't a total loss.
True. And that merger, of course, gives birth to a little company you might have heard of, PayPal.
Just a little side project.
And when eBay scoops up PayPal for a cool $1.5 billion, Musk walks away with $250 million. I mean, most people would call it a day right there, retired to a private island.
Right. Live the good life.
But not Elon.
Nope, not Elon. For him, this was just the starting line. He had the resources now to tackle even bigger dreams, the kind of problems that had fascinated him since he was a kid.
And that's where his sights turned to the stars.
Foo space.
So, Elon Musk, freshly minted multimillionaire from the PayPal sale. He could have kicked back, right? Enjoyed the fruits of his labor.
Yeah, most people would. Buy a yacht, travel the world.
Exactly. But not Elon. He decides to jump headfirst into not one, but two of the most challenging fields imaginable.
Space exploration and electric vehicles.
Talk about aiming high. What do you think drew him to these specific areas?
Well, if you look back at his childhood, his fascination with science fiction, his desire to solve big problems, it all kind of makes sense.
Like he saw these as the ultimate challenges.
Exactly. Problems that could fundamentally impact humanity's future.
Let's start with SpaceX, because that's where things get really wild. Musk sets his sights on colonizing Mars.
Not just visiting, mind you. He wants to create a self-sustaining human colony on another planet.
Which at the time sounded completely bonkers to a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of folks thought he'd lost it. Science fiction, they said.
But Musk was dead serious. He starts devouring books on rocketry, talking to experts, even joining the board of the Mars Society.
He was all in.
And here's the thing. He didn't want to just rely on existing aerospace companies or NASA. He thought he could do it better.
Faster, cheaper.
Right. By applying what he called the Silicon Valley approach to rocket science.
Which was a pretty radical idea at the time.
What did that even mean, applying Silicon Valley thinking to something like building rockets?
Well, Musk believed the traditional aerospace industry was too slow, too bureaucratic.
Risk-averse.
Exactly. Stuck using outdated technology. He wanted to disrupt all that, bring in rapid iteration, agile development, a willingness to take risks.
So, 2002, he found SpaceX, assembles this team of brilliant engineers, many of them young, inexperienced.
And he throws them right into the deep end. Build me rockets from scratch.
Something no private company had ever done successfully.
And it wasn't just about building them. He also wanted to change the whole economics of space travel.
How so?
Reusable rockets. That was his big idea. Dramatically reduce the cost of launching stuff into orbit, make space more accessible.
Ambitious, to say the least. And of course, it's not all smooth sailing. The first 3 launches of the Falcon 1 rocket,
Total failures.
explosions, crashes, devastating for the company, both financially and emotionally. You can imagine that was a real test of Musk's resolve.
Oh, absolutely. Most people would have thrown in the towel, but not Musk.
He doubles down, pours more of his own money into SpaceX, rallies his team.
Learns from each mistake.
That persistence pays off. 2008, the 4th launch of the Falcon 1
Success.
into orbit. A historic achievement for a private company.
It changed the game.
Yeah.
Suddenly, private companies were serious players in the space industry.
Opened up a whole new era of possibilities. But while all this is going on with SpaceX, Musk is also diving into the world of electric vehicles.
Which wasn't a completely new interest for him.
Right, he'd been fascinated by electric cars for a while. Initially, he was focused on ultracapacitors for energy storage.
But then he encounters this small electric car company called AC Propulsion.
And meets J.B. Straubel, an engineer who's convinced that lithium-ion batteries are the key to high-performance electric vehicles.
And Musk, he gets to experience this firsthand. Takes a ride in AC Propulsion's Zero sports car.
And it blows him away.
The acceleration, the power.
He becomes a believer. Sees that electric cars can be not just environmentally friendly, but also outperform gasoline-powered cars.
He approaches AC Propulsion about turning the Zero into a commercial product.
But they're hesitant.
Yeah, they're engineers, not entrepreneurs. They're not comfortable with Musk's grand vision.
So Musk, being Musk, decides, fine, I'll do it myself.
Classic Elon.
And that's the birth of Tesla Motors. He teams up with Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, who had already started a company called Tesla Motors, and they set out to create a high-performance electric sports car.
A car that would turn heads?
And change the way people thought about electric vehicles.
No more slow, boring golf cart image.
They decide to base their first car, the Tesla Roadster, on the Lotus Elise.
A lightweight, agile sports car, known for its handling.
Smart move. Leverage an existing platform, focus on developing the electric powertrain and battery system.
But even with that, it was still a monumental task.
Starting a car company from scratch is no joke.
Design, engineering, manufacturing, supply chains, it's a massive undertaking.
And they were doing it at a time when nobody had really figured out how to mass-produce electric cars.
They were pioneers, making it up as they went along.
And the financial pressure was immense. Musk was pouring his own money into Tesla, but they were burning through cash.
Production delays, the looming global financial crisis. Things were looking pretty precarious.
And that's when you really see the duality of Musk's leadership.
The brilliance and the flaws.
He's demanding, relentless, a perfectionist.
Sleeping under his desk at the factory, working weekends, scrutinizing every detail.
Obsessed with efficiency, with getting the Roadster to market ASAP.
But that intensity also took its toll. Some employees described him as a tyrant, a micromanager.
And his personal life suffered too. His marriage crumbled under the pressure.
But somehow amidst all the chaos, they managed to pull it off.
The Roadster rolls off the production line in 2008.
A sleek, futuristic-looking car that could go from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds.
Shattered the perception that electric cars had to be slow and boring.
It generated a ton of buzz, attracted investors and early adopters. But behind the scenes, things were still shaky.
Struggling to ramp up production, meet demand, iron out all the kinks that come with new technology.
And then another blow. SpaceX's second rocket launch fails.
Another huge setback for Musk, financially and emotionally.
It was a make-or-break moment.
The possibility of losing both companies. His dreams crashing down around him.
He had to sell personal possessions, borrow from friends, do whatever it took to keep Tesla and SpaceX afloat.
It's amazing he didn't give up.
It speaks to his incredible willpower, his unwavering belief in his vision.
And against all odds, both companies survive. SpaceX finally achieves a successful launch with its Falcon 1 rocket.
Proof that they could deliver payloads into orbit.
And at Tesla, they start making progress on solving the Roadster's production problems.
But it was clear they needed a new plan, a more sustainable path forward.
And that's where the Model S comes in. So Tesla's at this crossroads, right? They proved electric sports cars could be a thing with the Roadster.
But scaling up production, actually making it a viable business, that was a whole other challenge.
Enter the Model S, a car that would become, well, iconic.
And a huge gamble for Tesla. Don't forget, this is 2008.
Middle of the financial crisis.
Exactly. Most people are still skeptical about the whole electric car thing.
But Musk is convinced. He believes the Model S can not only succeed, but completely redefine what a luxury car can be.
He's aiming for a mass-market electric car, but with no compromises.
Performance, style, technology, all top-notch.
He wanted to go head-to-head with the big boys. BMW, Mercedes, Audi.
And he's involved in every single detail of the Model S's development, pushing his team to innovate in every area.
From that sleek, aerodynamic design to...
The giant touchscreen.
Oh yeah, that 17-inch touchscreen was revolutionary.
Back then, car companies were still obsessed with adding more buttons and knobs.
But Musk had this vision, right? A clean, intuitive interface, like using an iPad, but for your car.
Risky move, for sure, but it paid off big time.
That touchscreen became a signature Tesla feature. Everyone loved it. Super responsive, user-friendly.
To show that Tesla is thinking differently, embracing technology in a way the old-school car companies just weren't.
And it wasn't just about the tech. The Model S was a beautiful car, period.
Sleek, minimalist, it turned heads wherever it went.
And
oh yeah, top speed, over 130 miles per hour. Acceleration that could rival some serious sports cars.
it was a game changer for sure. Won a ton of awards. Motor Trend's Car of the Year in 2013 became the best-selling luxury sedan in the U.S.
Proved that electric cars could be desirable, luxurious, fun to drive.
Buried that old stereotype of electric cars being slow and boring.
But the success of the Model S, it wasn't just about the car itself. It was also Musk's strategy, his vision for Tesla as a whole.
Right. He knew that to really shake things up, Tesla couldn't just build great cars.
You needed a whole ecosystem.
Exactly. One of the biggest hurdles for electric cars back then was range anxiety.
People were afraid of running out of juice before they could find a place to charge.
So Musk decides to build Tesla's own charging network, the superchargers.
Strategically placed along major highways. Made it possible to travel long distances in a Tesla.
Which, again, nobody else was doing.
Huge investment. Took a lot of faith in the future of electric vehicles.
But brilliant. The supercharger network became a major advantage for Tesla. No more range anxiety.
Freedom to drive wherever you wanted. And he didn't stop there. Musk also took aim at another pillar of the car industry, dealerships.
Oh yeah, he decided Tesla would sell its cars directly to consumers.
Cut out the middleman. Own stores, online sales.
The dealerships were furious, lobbied hard to try to block Tesla.
Claimed it violated franchise laws.
But Musk fought back. In court, in the public arena.
He argued that direct sales meant a better experience for customers. Tesla could control the whole process, ensure top-notch service.
And he won. Tesla's direct sales model became a blueprint for other EV startups.
More consumer-friendly. Okay, so while all this is happening with Tesla, Musk is also busy building out Solar City.
Right, this is where his different ventures start to connect.
He saw Tesla, SpaceX, and Solar City as pieces of a bigger puzzle.
All working towards a sustainable future.
He had this grand vision of a closed loop. Tesla cars powered by solar energy from Solar City panels.
Stored in Tesla Powerwall batteries?
Ambitious, for sure. But Musk brings in his cousins, Lyndon and Peter Reeve, to run Solar City.
Push them to expand aggressively. Make solar panels affordable for homeowners.
Solar City had its own set of challenges, competition from big energy companies, changes in government subsidies.
But under Musk, the company grew rapidly, became one of the leading residential solar providers in the U.S.
And Musk kept pushing the envelope on solar technology. Acquired Solevo, a company that made high-efficiency solar cells.
Announced plans for a massive solar panel factory. Gigafactory 2, he called it.
So as Tesla, SpaceX, and Solar City grew, so did Musk's influence.
He becomes this vocal advocate for clean energy, lobbying governments, raising awareness about climate change.
He's on magazine covers, hosting Saturday Night Live, dating celebrities.
Every move he makes is news. His opinions on everything from AI to the future of humanity, people hang on his every word.
But through it all, he's still that same driven engineer at heart.
Workaholic, pushing himself, pushing everyone around him, always striving for the seemingly impossible.
And that's where Vance's biography leaves us, with a sense of awe at what Musk has accomplished, but also some questions.
Yeah, about whether his approach is sustainable in the long run.
He's definitely been criticized for his management style,
Demanding.
for overpromising and sometimes underdelivering.
And for some of his, shall we say, unconventional behavior on social media.
But you can't deny it, the guy's a visionary.
He's inspired millions, pushed the boundaries of what's possible in so many industries.
So what's the takeaway here? I think Musk's story shows us that even when things seem impossible, human ingenuity, that sheer determination, can achieve amazing things.
It's a reminder to think big, to challenge the status quo, to never give up on your dreams no matter how crazy they might seem.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of Elon Musk. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to go even deeper, definitely check out Ashlee Vance's book. And until next time, keep exploring.